This is William K. Murtaugh, Murt Witness 1, and today I guess we're going to discuss gold diggers and other matters. Now, I find it rather interesting when I go on the internet anymore and go to certain conspiracy nut pages and see some of the crap these people come up with. And earlier this week, I saw one little gem that had to do with, actually, I don't know. What you see is a series of photographs of guys sitting in a truckload of gold. Actually, it's a roll-up thing like you see in a construction site for dumpsters and stuff, but they apparently used it in this case, and they've got all this gold, and they've got a little thing in there where someone was supposed to the Main Street media didn't report this big controversy about the gold, and the guy says I would dare someone to come along and tell the story of where all this gold come from and why, we had it. Well, it turns out that if the conspiracy nuts had done their homework, which they never do, they would have found out that this is already widely known. It took me about 10 or 15 minutes to run the story down. I have a specific method I use to find the source of certain material that this conspiracy nut puts on her Facebook page, and it's very easy to track this one down. Now, what this little gold digger story was in fact a routine mission by the United States government, namely the military, to transport the gold to a central bank for safekeeping. Nobody stole the gold. It's not hidden. Soldiers aren't out in the private island somewhere lapping it up with all this gold. It's in the hands of the people that own the gold. And the article gets into that. This particular story with the so-called seized gold has been going around for years. But these stupid conspiracy nuts have to have something to talk about. And so they come up with this gold thing. And this particular conspiracy nut has been really busy putting up post after post after post after post about utter, complete, and sheer nonsense. Now, another thing this genius without a mind did is she claimed that the whole thing with George Floyd was a hoax, that he didn't die. And she brings up, they had a closed casket, all this, he really didn't die. Well, the only problem is they have shown time after time after time and time again that the viewing of Mr. Floyd's casket was indeed an open one. The casket was open. Now, I don't know why on earth this stupid woman would think that George Floyd faked his death. If he did, he would never be able to show his face in public again, or else he would have to be another JFK Jr. to where he comes back 50 years from now as an old man sitting on a porch or some nonsense. But that's the nature of these yo-yos. And so this stuff keeps getting spread around. Now, another thing that comes up here is that these conspiracy nuts have a little bit of a problem. Now, for years, including just recently by the idiot from East Grand Forks, Minnesota, there have been complaints time and time and time and time again over the corrupt police department. and how all the law enforcement in the entire state of Minnesota are corrupt. So guess what happened in light of the George Floyd situation and with the situation in general when it comes to alleged police brutality? Calls are now being made to defund and disband certain police departments, including the Minneapolis Police Department. Now, you would think that this would make the conspiracy nuts happy, that everybody would be throwing parties in the street, and the Confederate flags would be flying, and the PPTF would be sending out letters of congratulations and everything else, but no. They're complaining about it. The very same people that say these police departments are corrupt and they go around breaking mirrors and slashing tires and doing all this stuff to put an unemployed pizza delivery driver in jail for the rest of his life. You know, you would think they'd be happy about it, but no, they're sitting there complaining about it. They said the Democrats are trying to do this, that, and the other thing. Because again, we get to the same argument that always comes up. You cannot do anything right if you're a Democrat. You cannot do anything right if you're anybody but Trump. It's always Trump. You know, I'm not here to argue who supports Trump and who doesn't. I'm here to argue the fact that these conspiracy nuts have taken over the process. They sit there and make all these obnoxious, outrageous claims about everybody. And there's another conspiracy theory that's popped up, that Mike Pence is no longer vice president of the United States. He's been replaced with a clone. Now, somewhere along the line, our technology leapfrogged to the point where we're able to clone people. Exactly. As an adult, they don't have to grow up. They can just, you put them in a tube, set the timer, and in a day or two, out pops a freshly roasted clone. An adult, the exact same age as Mr. Pence. All the characteristics, the memories, everything, except for he's been reprogrammed to do what whoever wants him to do. Whoever replaced Mr. Pence has programmed him to do as they're told. There's stuff like this. What the hell's wrong with these people? Are there magic mushrooms in the state of Minnesota or something that these people come up with this absolute positive baloney? I don't know. But there it is, folks. We've got these fruitcakes running around on Facebook, putting up this nonsense. Facebook's just sitting back on their hands, mainly because these people are small potatoes. They're not worth the time of day. And they get away with this bull crap. And then you wonder why this country is in the shape it's in. It's in the shape it's in because it's got nuts like this woman and man from Minnesota running around spreading this garbage, and they are reeking tens of thousands of dollars from it. And then we go to the chiropractor in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's got just as many nuts over there as they do in Minnesota. Now he's running around pretending to raise all this money for Field McConnell. Thousands of dollars. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars. Unfathomable amount of money for what will be generally a routine trial that's going to last maybe half a day, maybe a full day if they're lucky. A verdict's going to be rendered, and that's going to be the end of it. And it's not going to cost $100,000, $200,000 to win this battle. If the lawyer is lucky, he may make $20,000 out of it, somewhere around there. And maybe somebody will make $4,000 or $5,000 if they are able to come up with grounds to appeal the sentence if he's convicted. But in the long run, they are not going to need anywhere near that kind of money to pay Phil McConnell's legal expenses, which have already been covered. There is a good chance that his adult son that he's living with in Florida has paid his legal expenses. He posted the bond. So the bond was posted by the son. The son is a wealthy man with a successful business, so he can well afford to pay for his demented father, who decided to get involved with these idiots and get him out of his mess, or at least try to mitigate any damage that's been done by him listening to an unemployed pizza delivery driver piggybacking on Wi-Fi out of a car full of junk. And so there we go. Now what's funny is I got into a bit of a debate with a satirical Twitter account. And we got into a few things. One of the things we got into is Phil McConnell has got quite a bit of what we call liquid assets. And liquid assets are usually those things that are not money that could either be sold or otherwise disposed of in order to obtain cash. Now, you have liquid assets and you have hard assets. Now, the liquid assets is the fact that Mr. McConnell has a pension fund that cannot be touched by the IRS or anybody else. And it's a substantial amount of money. And so he has plenty of money to be able to pay for his legal defense. Number two, he has a big farm with a lot of cars, a lot of equipment, some animals, and even crops that could be sold to help pay for his legal expenses. Of course, he's not going to have any of these things soon because the IRS is going to take everything he owns. And the bank has already taken his house, or is about to. The house is in foreclosure, regardless of what anybody says. And so eventually, Phil McConnell is going to find himself homeless, or else he's going to find himself a permanent resident of Stewart County, Florida, or if he's convicted, somewhere in the Florida prison system. Now, Phil McConnell's lucky in some respect because the coronavirus has offered him a rare opportunity. He's having a long-term luxury vacation in the state of Florida. He's in a beautiful house, has a nice swimming pool in the backyard, nice patio, nice big barbecue that his son could make him steaks or whatever it is that he wants to eat that his heart's desire. He's got a nice big TV in the there's all the accoutrements and luxuries that come with living in a house in a gated community. And that brings up another point. They're in a gated community, which means nobody's going to bother them. You're not going to have people drive by and take pictures of the house because you have to have permission to get in there. There's a gate. You have to have a combination to open the gate. If there's a guard there, you have to have permission from the resident to get past the guard. I don't think too many people are going to masquerade as landscaping companies or movers or plumbers or electricians to get in there just for the purpose of taking pictures of Phil McConnell at his new abode. And Phil McConnell even gets to ride around for a couple hours. He gets in the nice luxury vehicle that his son owns, and he gets to run around a couple times a week to see what he's missing out on because he got mixed up with a conspiracy nut from East Grand Forks, Minnesota, which brings us to that point. Now here we have this conspiracy nut running around, going wherever he pleases. He's been all over the United States. He's taken pictures of trees with shoes in them. He's taken pictures of signs. He's taken pictures of gas stations. He sits in parking lots for hours on end doing his little Facebook Lives. He gets in front of a white wall and does these monologues where he reads supposed letters from Melania Trump or to Melania Trump and says he's part of the high command, has all this super duper secret stuff at his beck and call that he can talk about, and he's a in the front lines of this so-called secret war against pedophiles and child traffickers and Marines running around blowing the things up to Kingdom Come under people's houses and burning down half the state of California to cover up their actions. And nobody calls them out on it. You know, people just keep shoving money his way, or better yet, to his handler, so that they can keep spreading this nonsense around. I find this rather interesting, that the conspiracy nut gets out there and he does all this saying that I need money to fight this, fight that, and everything, and yet all he's doing is running around in a car full of his personal belongings, which looks like a bunch of garbage actually, yammering away about nonsense. And where's all this money going? It's probably going into the pockets of his handler. She's sitting there raking this money in and hiding it, doling out to this conspiracy nut enough money to do this propaganda, but not enough for him to live a halfway decent lifestyle. He's actually having to depend on other people to get by. He cannot do anything on his own. He's a leech. He's a puppy on a leash. These people are controlling him like a little puppy and saying, as long as you're a good boy, you can sit in my living room and watch my 50-inch TV. But if you stray from the script, if you wander off the narrative, you're going to find yourself out on the street in that car of yours, and you're not going to get any help from me. And I'll make damn sure you don't get any of the money that people are donating to your GoFundMe fund or to the various funds that I have set up in your name. You know, we've got funds all over the place. We got funds for this conspiracy nut. We got funds for the now defunct Pentagon Pedophile Task Force. We got funds, at least two of them that I'm aware of, for the Legal Defense Fund of Field McConnell. And no, God knows how many other funds are out there by these people. And this is the point that this satirical Twitter account brought up, and so have the growing number of social media pages going up to expose these idiots. Now, in the coming weeks, there are going to be a number of cases hit the fan. We, of course, have Field McConnell. Things are getting back to normal, at least for the time being, and against all common sense and judgment, businesses are starting to open up, courts are starting to open up, and a bunch of morons are running around protesting and not taking any precautions. There's no social distancing. These people are packed like, pigs in a pen or something, and, they may be protesting a just cause, but they're doing it the wrong way, and they're going to get the virus, along with the idiots that are going to go to these conventions. They're going to start open up. And the next thing you know, in September, October, November, we're going to have a bunch of sick people. And we're going to have a bunch of people that are going to die. We'll probably hit the $200,000 mark, or 2,000 dead mark, by the time election day rolls around. So there's a lot of people doing a lot of stupid things out there. And so there's going to be a lot of the people in the mortuary business are going to make a fortune. And people in the foreclosure business are going to make a fortune. The government auction people are going to make money. There's going to be all kinds of money to be made by different people. And of course, there are a few of us who deal in the brokerage of antique and special interest cars that might make a little money before all this is done. So it's going to be an interesting 2 years, because 2020 has turned out to be the second year of the Great Conflagration. 2019 was supposed to be, but it kind of blended over into 2020. And so this has been a year of a great conflagration, and it's about to wind down, because pretty soon we're going to be into 2021. And depending on what happens in November, there's no telling what's going to happen in 2021. But it's going to be a year, I suppose, of the great confusion. I don't know. I haven't decided what to dub 2021 yet. But it's going to be the start of a new decade. We're in a transition between one decade and another. We're about to start the Roaring 20s version 2. It's going to be a hell of a decade. And come November, I'll figure out what I'm going to do with 2021. But it's going to be a doozy. So we're going to see in the coming days, weeks, months, and so on and so forth, and etc., what the hell's going to go on with 2021. But we got a ways to go before we get there. We're halfway through 2020 right now. We're getting close to it. We're in the middle of hurricane season down here in Florida, which is just freaking great. You know, the story about the killer hornets, or whatever the hell they were, has kind of died down until they start killing people. You know, we're going to have a version 2 of the coronavirus. We're probably going to have a vaccine come out that ain't going to work. The anti-vaxxers, of course, are going to say we ain't taking no damn corona vaccine. So people are going to die from the vaccine, or they're going to die from not taking the vaccine. So take your choice. You can die either way. So we got that on our plate. And hopefully by the end of the year, we're going to have resolution on some of this stuff. Some people that are deserving it are going to go to jail. And some people that should have gotten justice by now are going to get it. You know, maybe the conspiracy nut running around in a car full of junk will finally get arrested. The warrant is open, by the way. The warrant never went away. And some of these frauds out there that are doing some of the stupidest things on the internet will be put in jail. It'll be great. Phil McConnell will probably lose all his cars. He'll lose his house. And he'll be, you know, a has-been in short order. People are going to say, who is Phil McConnell? Never heard of him. Wasn't he that old fart that went around making threats to the innocent mother of 3 children? Must be. I haven't heard much from him. He's kind of bit the dust when it comes to the fame department. He's just another old conspiracy theorist that got caught up in the game, and the game is now open, or over, I should say. And he's gone. He's gone off. Because he's going to get forgotten in one of two ways. He's either going to get convicted of the charge against him, and he's going to go to jail, or going to get some adjudication, or he's going to get acquitted, and he's going to go away anyway. Oh, he might get on there and start doing his daily podcasts and stuff and have his little audience of believers, but he's the past. He's a has-been. People are going to say, They're going to realize that nothing, absolutely nothing, came true with this guy. The Zim bonds never went anywhere. The Children's Crusade is gone. The Texas Ranch for veterans and their families is gone. Nothing came about. You know, Phil McConnell is a blast from the past, so to speak. Nothing came of anything that has to do with Phil McConnell. It was a big, fat nothing. Absolute, positive nothing. So he goes on. Maybe he'll play golf with Donald Trump or something. Who knows? If he even knows Donald Trump. I don't think he knows anybody. Doesn't even know himself. But this blast from the past will just go. Just fade away. It'll be talked about here and there, saying, oh, remember that guy that made such a fuss on YouTube? made all these promises that never came true. The guy that turned out to be an absolute phony, big ass fraud. Yeah, you remember that guy? I don't. I think is he even still alive? I don't know. Maybe the virus got him. And the same's going to hold true of the conspiracy nut. I mean, he's going to disappear. There's other things that are going to start happening. Fads go away. The Q thing has been a fad that's been going on for way too long. Eventually, it's going to dry up. People are going to get tired of the codes. People are going to get tired of all the games and all the puzzles and all the false leads and the fake organizations like the PPTF and Children's Crusade and so on, and they're going to move on. And there'll be somebody else come along. There'll be another fraud. There'll be another organization, other players in the game. And it'll be the same thing over and over and over again. And by the end of the year, we're also going to know what happened to Ms. Absug and her kids. We're going to know what's happened to Sarah Dunklin and her little legal problem. And we're going to know what happened to the woman in Kentucky and her problem. You know, I find it kind of funny. These people sat there and said, oh, this woman, her case has been dismissed. Haven't heard from her. Hasn't been on any shows since then. Hasn't been on Chris Hallett's show. Hasn't been on any of these other shows. She's vanished. Nobody's talking about her. And that's because the case has not been dismissed. She is still in trouble. So they had to basically shut up about that rumor. You know, they come out with these rumors and these hoaxes, and then they shut up about them. And then every once in a while, the conspiracy nut from East Grand Forks might recycle it. But you never hear about these things again. They're just gone. Isn't that kind of convenient? That, oh, this woman's been acquitted. Case dismissed. And you never hear from them again? Same thing goes for the Floyd thing. That went away. Don't hear about that anymore. And this gold thing. Don't hear about that anymore. This stuff just, it goes away. Really interesting about that stuff. So, stay tuned. I don't do these mobile-thons very often because I'm not in the car that often. I don't have anywhere to go just yet, but I'm going to start going places here pretty soon. And there'll be other mobile-thons and other thons as some of my projects start to cement together. And so stay tuned. And there'll be another Murdathon, probably on Friday, maybe on Saturday. Haven't quite decided yet. Not enough to talk about to have these things on every day of the week. So I have to kind of space things out a little bit so I don't bore people to death. But thank you for tuning in to this nonsense. And have a good week, day, month, year, whatever. And let's see what transpires down the road of the wild and wacky super highway known as the Internet. This is William K. Murtaugh, Mert Witness 1. Please like and subscribe. And have a good one.